Like it or not, for better or worse, we still live in a very censored world. Now, I want to be clear, I want to be emphatic right out the gate that this has nothing to do with political or ideological leanings. It has nothing to do with generational sensibilities. These things have just always been there. Censorship has always been there because there is, let's call it the norm, and then there is the othering. There's an inside group and there's an outside group. Now the inside group generally tends to dictate what a society's values and norms and ideals are, and when you say or do things that run counter to that, then you are met with a lot of backlash, and you might be ostracized, you might be demonized, you might be demonetized, as I'm sure will be the case with many of our videos. So I wanted to talk a bit about writing dangerously. Now, when I say writing dangerously, I don't mean writing while you're sitting on the fucking wing of an airplane, or writing while you're in a pit of venomous vipers. No, I'm simply talking about writing your truth, writing what feels right to you. Because when I write, I predominantly write the kind of things that I might want to read, and that I hope there are other people who might want to read and get some sort of meaning from it, some sort of connection. The things I write about are not always pleasant to think about. I write about addiction. I write about self-harm and everything that goes with that. I write about, trauma. I write about events that have occurred in my own life that were very, very traumatic. And I write very candidly. I use a metaphor here and a euphemism there if I feel it'll work in the context of the poem, if I can soften the blow a bit and make it less in your face. But for the most part, I just like to write what I want to fucking write, I think that's the advice I give to other writers or people who are just breaking into writing in whatever capacity, whether it be poems or songs or stories, plays, novels. It's about being authentic. If you look at some of the works of literature that are now greatly celebrated, I'm talking about things like A Clockwork Orange, for example. That's the example that comes to mind, as it's my favorite book and my favorite film. I mean, when Anthony Burgess wrote it, he certainly didn't give a shit about being censored. He just wrote what he felt the world needed. And yes, it was confronting at the time, it was disruptive, it was subversive, but good art should be all of those things. I spoke about it in my previous video, one of my previous videos. So, I can say that I sometimes put little excerpts of my poems on social media. I don't always like it. It sometimes, I get spanked by Meta, and I get put in Facebook and Instagram jail because I talk about things that are unpleasant. And yes, I acknowledge that may be triggering. It's never, ever, I want to be very fucking clear on this. Never my intention to trigger anybody. I don't shock for the sake of shock, because those are bully boy tactics, right? I don't want to be a bully. No, I write things that are real. They are just very raw. They are maybe a bit too real. Because we don't want to face things like, like depression. I don't know if we're facing it quite the way we should. I feel like it needs to be brought into the spotlight a little bit more. We need to talk more about these things. And our writing in Felix Day is, well, you know what, I'm not gonna go too deep into it because Chantal and I have a very exciting video planned, which I imagine will be out in the next week. I'm very excited. It'll be the first time the two of us are together on camera since starting this channel. But yeah, in conclusion, I suppose I just want to say that write you. Never compromise or negotiate or come to terms or any of that bullshit. Just be honest in your writing. That's what I've always appreciated, you know. We can pander to the masses. We can write, suppose, radio-friendly little bubblegum tunes. But I would be unhappy. I think Chantal would be unhappy. It's not us. We can only be real. It causes an immense amount of discomfort and unpleasantness for us when we're not real. I spoke also in a previous video about cognitive dissonance. There is a prime example. Creating art that runs contrary to what I am intrinsically, what we are intrinsically, it just doesn't work, and what you'll be getting isn't art. It'll just be a production, I suppose. So yeah, I hope you found this meaningful. Do keep an eye out for that video with Chantal and I. I'm very excited. I think it's gonna be cool. Until next time, keep it fucking degenerate, guys.